We're gonna make it.
Right.
And we're live.
Oh my goodness, that was a close one. That was a close one.
Yeah,
we almost forgot we were supposed to go live.
Well, because we were talking about what a great job Luke and Nick
Oh
did
my
this
God,
morning.
I got so sucked into that. So sucked in. It's like, oh, I better go before we forget. And here we are, almost forgetting
right? Oh my
our
God.
own show.
Okay, here's the intro.
There you go.
Wait.
What?
Yes. Welcome to the Ragin 2 vlog, February 24th, 2022, and we'll be right back after this. That's right. Any podcast except for this one's my favorite.
Oh my God, we're having a rough morning. Well, it's not rough. Hello, chat. Hello. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, oh, look at that. So we have Amaris. Hello. Frog G. Hello. Joe is here. Oh, Historical Fencing Guild. Hello.
Just talking about you.
All right. Oh, is that
That's Nick.
Oh, that's Nick. Hello. Yeah, you did say that you train people to sword fight, and it's just like, did I mishear that? Did I hear that correctly?
That dude is so fucking cool. Daphne.
And here we go. You know. So it's like, yes. So before we get started, I just want to congratulate Luke, Nick, and Dave for having such a compelling show, the Nerd Bacon show, that we almost forgot to do ours. So congratulations. So their show is going to be, what, every Thursday at 9 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Facebook user, declare yourself.
Welcome, RJ.
All right. Hello. Yeah. So, and also, for just because RJ's in the chat, and I just want to update everybody.
Intro again.
Right. The Silvermane figures that were won during his auction for Comics for Kids. I have a box for it. I'm putting it together right now. So hopefully, I'll get that box in the mail to the most generous winner, either today or tomorrow at the latest. I just have to bubble wrap the crap out of it, so you know how I pack. So
Lage delivers on her promises.
Oh my God. Yeah, I put out. Yeah. So please excuse. So as you can see, I'm at the other computer. Oh, look at that! Basic classical fencing. Very nice. You know, we hello. You know, so as you can see, I'm on the other computer because right before also we were going to go live, the fuse in my office blew. And my Mac especially hates it when that happens, and it takes forever for it to wake up. So I had to move to this corner. But at least it gives me an idea as to how I'm going to redo this office when I'm, when I redo it. It's like right now, it's like I'm kind of still in the middle of taking stuff out and putting it away. And then I'm going to reconfigure this whole thing to be streaming friendly because that's how we think now.
Right?
So really. So hello everybody. I guess we might as well start with our introductions before, so we can officially get the day started. So my name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I am known for the funny animal fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which you can see right here, and my medieval fantasy soap opera drama Egoraven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is, you can find a link in the chat to the pre-launch page for this campaign. Well, not for this campaign. This is my volume 1 proof, but for issue 4, which is launching on Kickstarter March 14th. So sign up for the pre-launch page. That's in the links in the chat and in the show notes. Thank you, because I keep forgetting what that is. But in the meantime, you can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, TALSonline.com, and Egoworks.com, EGOWRKS. And you can check out my videos on how I make my comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, L-A-G-E art. So if you're watching this on Facebook and Twitter, please join us on not Facebook, on you can join me on Facebook, but please for the videos, please join us on YouTube where you'll be able to see this in all its
show glory.
Pretty much, and it's like where you can also like, share, and subscribe directly from there, so we can make the YouTube algorithm gods happy. So Nita, tell the peoples who you are.
I am Nita Lanning. I am executive producer. I can't do it. I am executive producer of Ragin 2 Broadcast Network.
Wow.
And yeah, I know, right? And CEO of Ragin Services and Promotions.
Right, there you go. Oh, so Joe says, I am power. Oh yeah, the Mac is power drunk. Yes. It's awful, and it's like, and pretty much what I learned is don't plug in an electric heater and an electric car at the same time. Not on the same fuse. Doesn't work. So yeah, my sister is visiting and she has an electric car, and it's like having a giant cell phone in the backyard. It's the oddest thing. So it's like, okay, so it's Thursday, right? I mean, it's Thursday all day, unfortunately. So I guess just a reminder that we have all of these great campaigns in the show notes below. It's like, it's getting to a point where it's like there's so many great campaigns that if we were to talk about every one of them, that would be the show.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point, there's so many coming out right now.
Yeah.
We're going to do a top 10 in the chat that are
right.
Sorry, folks. Yeah.
It's like, it's like, look, I understand you guys love it when we talk about your campaigns, but there just get to a point, where we it's like, we love you all. We love the fact that you love us, talking about your campaigns, but we need to talk about other things too. So please do not be offended at that if we don't talk specifically about your campaign.
We've got a show coming up for you guys. A total host show coming. All right.
Oh, there you go. Oh, really? Very nice. So there you go. We're trying to put together something for everybody. Right. Really, I don't understand why that's not a thing right now. Like you would think that would be the most obvious thing to have on an electric car, but it's not. Not even Tesla has that, as far as I know. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, it's an ordeal. Like me, I prefer a hybrid, so it's like, because the ordeal people with electric cars have to go through to get their to get fueled up is bye frog is just, I don't get it. Like I do get it, but it's obvious that it's like, the infrastructure is not there because not enough people buy electric cars. But if people don't buy enough electric cars, they won't really be a strong infrastructure to support them. So it's a whole thing. So, yesterday, when we last left our heroes, you know, actually, before we even get into that, I mean, I realized that we've been forgetting to do our little accountability session. You know, and maybe that's something that we should probably do at the beginning.
Accountability.
All right, well, maybe. I mean, we do have a lot of work. We do have a lot of work to do. And the weather here keeps going from 60 to 20, 60 to 20, 60 to 20. Or as someone joked online, it's like the Mother Nature throwing temperatures like Powerball numbers.
So my issue is staying up to work.
Uh-huh.
And because it's just like trying to get everything. Next week's going to be insane. And
yeah, because we have more shows premiering, right? Yeah.
And my schedule is completely out of whack, so I'm eating after my window.
Uh-huh.
My fasting.
Yeah, I have to reset mine as well. Everything I have to reset. You know, the only thing that I've managed to stay kind of consistent on is cranking out pages. I'm currently penciling page 20 of Egoraven issue 7, and the only reason this page is taking a little bit longer because I had to tweak the panels a bit, because these were layouts that I did like a long time ago, and now that I'm seeing them, it's like, oh, these kind of don't work the way I want them to, so I had to do a lot of brainstorming on it. So but at least the pages are getting done, so I can at least say that.
I can't help myself, Joe.
Well, you know, you see, that's the thing. Yeah, she has to not giggle when she says that she's the executive producer, because that's what she is. It's like, look, I mean, it's like we now have officially a second show on the network,
and a third on the first.
Yeah,
and a fourth on. Oh wait, we're not.
Right.
There's more.
There's more. There's more coming. There's more coming. You know. Oh, and I also want to congratulate C for designing the Nerd Bacon logo. I mean, if that's an image, I mean, if there's a shirt that needs an image, you know, that cute little bacon dude. Definitely. Hey, Luke.
Chris.
Yes, he is.
Do it, Luke.
Oh no. You know, yeah. So. You know, so if I guess if we ever get into the merchandising realm, we're on the right track.
Oh my gosh, those guys were so epic this morning.
No, it was a really good show. They had so many good topics, like I
constant chat.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done we could have done individual shows on just like with each of those questions. We could have done individual shows on it, and just like there's a lot of good questions. So if you missed the show, catch it on the replay on the Ragin network, and it's also on Luke's channel.
Studios.
Yeah, on his channel as well. So make sure to catch.
Both.
Right, exactly. Sub to both. You know, it's like, you know, the whole rising tide lifts all boats. So if you can sub to one, you can sub to all. It doesn't cost you anything, and you get all this wonderful content for free. So I guess that's it. So I guess in terms of accountability, we can only be accountable to being a hot mess at this moment. So
right.
at least
it's a beautiful hot mess, Daphne.
Yes, it really is. It really is. It's like it's the whole good problem to have.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I guess it's like, you know, we'll you know what, we'll start with real accountability on Monday. Let's do that on Monday. So at least we'll have the weekend to get our shit together, and then it's like on Monday we'll start a little accountability segment, you know, and try to get some, you know, because in the end it's like, you know, doing the work doesn't mean anything if we don't take care of ourselves as well at the same time. Right. So, you know, so it's you know, so yeah. So where were we? Oh yes. So when we last left our heroes, I was reading this incredibly questionably edited Forbes article about Richard and Wendy PINI talking about the 9 rules they follow when they were creating ElfQuest. Now, I was going over this article again, and I came to the realization that this is probably based on an actual interview with Richard and Wendy PINI, but the way it's written is just like like I said, it's just really weird. The person that put this article together, it's just really weird and not really edited efficiently, and it's a little distracting, you know? Right, exactly, you know? So, because there was like a couple of things in there that I was reading going, this doesn't make any sense, until I realized, oh wait, that's Richard and Wendy PINI saying that. But the way it's edited, it's like, okay, so I don't know what's going on at Forbes. You know, I really don't understand how they let an article like this in its, in this format, in this formatting slide, which just goes to show you that it's like there really is, that sometimes, there really is a difference between gatekeeping and editorial control, and sometimes you kind of do need both, in order to... Because because it's like for me to go, Forbes printed this, Forbes posted this on there.
Oh, right.
But that's besides the point though. So last we talked about this. So where did we leave off? So
Rule 4.
Yeah. So the first rules that that they use for doing ElfQuest, which can be applied to your own comics as well. But like any rules, like any writing rules, your mileage will vary. So just because these rules work for Richard and Wendy PINI, and I have applied so far, like what they've mentioned so far in my own work, it doesn't mean that it's going to be relevant to what you need to do in your comic. So just keep that in mind. These are not set in stone, and depending on who you talk to, it's like kind of like writing advice. It's like everyone's going to have their own thing. Like I know that there's some writers that never use adverbs, and me particularly, I haven't met an ly word. I never liked. So it's like like I said, your mileage will vary. So the first 4 rules that we covered yesterday, so if you missed it, you can go back and watch the replay on that, is number 1, show don't tell. Number 2, know when to shut up. And I think that this the context applies to, again, it was bad editing. They make it sound like that they were talking about like verbiage used when they were really talking about the amount of detail you put in the artwork. But I think that the rule is good for both. 3, move the camera. And 4, animations are your friends. So again, side note, I think like out of the 4 we covered yesterday, animations are your friend, I think, is one of those optional ones. Like you still need to move your story through the panels, and the panels do have to flow into each other in a certain way so that pretty much you control the narrative that way. But if you can't do little animations in your actual story, you don't feel pressured to. I mean, it's like if you know how to do that, or if it's something you want to experiment with, go right ahead. But it's like you boo. Yeah, exactly. You do you, boo. So today we're gonna start with number 5. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Yes. So number 5 on this. So for 9 rules of storytelling with ElfQuest. So rule number 5. That Richard and Wendy PINI, or Wendy and Richard PINI, because then it spells out warp graphics, but I'm sidetracking myself here.
What?
So rule number 5: use the background Throwaways are fun. The important action usually happens in the foreground, but don't miss the opportunity to add to the story on another level in the background. This can be especially entertaining when what's going on up front is serious and what's happening behind makes you chuckle. You can also use the background to plant clues and misdirect the audience's attention like a magician. We always enjoy feedback from readers who say to us, "Whoa, I didn't see that coming," because we were able to point to the very page and panel where perhaps years earlier we planted the seed. So again, this is Wendy and Richard PINI talking in this poorly edited article. So I guess to also like give like an animation example, it's the difference between Pixar and DreamWorks. You know, because if you really pay attention to like Pixar stuff, they like being very literal with their storytelling, very in your face, very, you know, everything is happening in front of you. Where in DreamWorks, like if you watch Shrek, if you watch How to Train Your Dragon, you have to watch the background. There is stuff happening in the background. I think even with the Minions stuff, with with Despicable Me, there's stuff in the background happening. It's like the entire screen is moving.
Yes.
And if you're able to do that, it is a fun way to play around with your storytelling in your panels. However, though, it does require you to make sure you know where you're going to put your word balloons. It requires a lot of planning on your lettering or your letterer's part in order for this to work. Because your jokes in the background are for nothing if it gets covered by a word balloon. And I've actually had that happen where it's like I have these pages where I have stuff in the background and then I lay down the lettering and I'm like going, damn it, I just lost 3 characters. You know? Which is also a reason why I went back to like where I can I'm completely relettering Egoraven, and with Tall Tales where I can, I am going back and relettering that as well, so that the new font that I'm using is smaller but still legible, so it takes up less space and I'm actually gaining artwork and background as I'm doing that. So play with the background just because, you know, just because like your important stuff, you want people to see the important stuff, you know, play around with what's in the background. Also, you know what? Put a background in. How about just putting a background in? That's a whole other thing.
Some people really do need to hear that, though. We were looking, there was something we backed not all that long ago. And it was like there was an odd squared shape for a dumpster in one panel, and
right,
it was just like,
right.
We're feeling you, bro. We're not feeling it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, cause again, that's the whole other but really though, it's like, you know, it's like use the background, and if you're not going to use the background, still pay attention to your background, because there's a lot of people who think that a color is a background, and it's like, no, not really. Like the Japanese and the Europeans, they have kind of like a different view on this. So what the Japanese like to do is they like to do a heavily detailed establishing shot. So where you have everything in your background, and then for the rest of the scene, they kind of don't. They put in hints, or even if they don't have one, it's already in your head what that background looks like. So they're not repeating themselves over and over and over again in the subsequent panels. And maybe you know, they're not cluttering up the page, because sometimes not every panel needs to have that much detail in it. You know, especially if it's all going to get covered by word balloons anyway.
Right.
The Europeans, though, from what I've noticed, they're a lot more classical with that. They put backgrounds in everything. Every panel is almost like its own illustration. So no matter what's going on in the panel, it's a full drawing. It has a background. It has the characters in it. So I kind of try to mash two of them into some kind of good middle ground for me, because it's like, on one hand, I don't want my backgrounds to look like a flat set that just repeats, but on the other hand, you know, I still want it to feel like that that the characters are in an environment.
Right.
So yeah, so that's what I would recommend for that. Use the background, even if you're not using it specifically for storytelling, like for literal storytelling. A background is still telling a story. It's telling people where your characters are. Right. So take advantage of that. So okay. Oh, this one's a good one. Uh-oh. This one is kind of like, you know, don't do as I say, not as I do type of thing. 6. Know where to start and end. You know, it's like the whole thing is that, you know, don't make your first comic book series, you know, an epic. You know, start off small, you know, so that you know how to end segments. Right. You know, so, okay, but again, this is, it's like I'm interpreting the title a little bit differently than the explanation. So this is what they say. So this is what Wendy and Richard PINI are saying about this, about 6. ElfQuest is almost a by-the-book Joseph Campbell hero's journey, which... This is where I realized it was Richard and Wendy PINI saying this, because they themselves didn't hear, they weren't familiar with Joseph Campbell's work when they were doing ElfQuest. So we knew from the beginning what the skeleton of the tale, we already knew from the beginning what the skeleton of the tale was to be. The beginning, the middle, the ending. This commitment is paramount to our way of doing things. Knowing the start and finish also enabled us to take many side trips along the way, providing even more compelling storytelling opportunities without getting derailed from the crucial backbone of the quest. So, so you'd be surprised how many people skip this part. Like I said, I've been doing this since 1992. And when I say there's a lot of bodies on this road, there's a lot of bodies on this road. And a lot of those bodies start out saying, I'm just making this up as I go along. You know? It's like, or I don't, or it's like they're on issue 3 and then they realize I don't know how to end this. Or they realize they painted themselves into a corner that they now have a different idea for, but because they did their thought process on the actual pages, now it's like they feel committed. But they can't do anything about it. They can't. At the same time, they can't commit. It's too late. Right. You know, so then you have a lot of people who abandon their projects at that point because, like, well, I don't know what to do with the story. Or it's like, now I want to draw a different story because it's, you know, they came up with a better idea for it. And yeah, you know, it's like, so that was the funny thing. So when I started doing Egoraven online in its black and white version, right, I kind of knew how I wanted it to end. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. And I was kind of guessing as I was working on those pages. So luckily, now that I'm re-releasing the book and re-lettering and whatnot, I feel like because I knew where it was going, how I wanted the book to end, I was able to those 5 issues still worked with some slight editing because it was I knew how it was supposed to go. Yeah, so when I sat down, and wrote the full script, so now I have a complete step-by-step blueprint of how I get to that ending. I don't have to think about it anymore. Everything fits together. And because of that, that's also the reason why that I feel like I'm working a lot faster on these pages, because I know where I'm going.
Right.
You know, it's like it's the, you know, I have the map on the GPS, and you know, and we're just following the trail that's there.
Along.
Exactly. So when we're doing Tall Tales, JD always had an ending. He always knew where each story arc was going. You know, even if he had just the major beats, he always had the major beats.
Right.
You know, so all he had to do was fill in the gaps between them. But there was still a roadmap for, you know, where the story was going. Way too many people don't even have that. They only have the cool scenes they want to put on paper.
Right.
But they don't know how to get to them. Or they haven't thought about how to get to them. You know, yeah. So
right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, it's like you have to, your story has to function beyond the pitch. Because like I said, look, because this is also the reason why we've seen a lot of people keep redoing their first issue over and over and over again. Because every time they do it, oh, I should really do this with the story. And then they start over again. And then they do it again. And then it's like, oh, snap, I should really do that with the story. And then they're doing everything all over again. And it's like, how about writing your story first? You know? How about doing that, then worrying about what the comic is going to be?
How many times do I have to back issue 1?
Right, exactly, right? I mean, think about that. Think about how many Kickstarters that never make it past an issue 1. Right? And it's like, and that's not fair for people. That's not fair to the people working on the book and the people backing the book. It's like, you know what? If this is really a passion for you, know how it works. Know your story. Know your characters. Know where it's going, so that you can tell the story the way you want. You know, it's like I really. I mean,
if you don't know it, go learn it. Lock yourself in the bathroom with some AA batteries and figure it out.
Well, last I checked, Kindles weren't running on AA batteries.
Bunch of business, Lage.
So, I mean, so yeah, so it's like, you know, respect your audience, or at least respect your potential audience, the audience that you're trying to build, by knowing your story. I mean, you would think that would be obvious, right? But it's not.
No, it is not. It's very apparent.
You know, so yeah, so it's like, no matter what kind of story you're writing, I mean, in this case, they're talking about the hero's, the hero's journey. And I think the book that they're referring to, if anyone's curious, the Joseph Campbell book, is called The Power of Myth. This book got bandied about when Star Wars came out. So this book has been around for a bit. So, and it's yeah, that's just, you know, it's, you know, philosophical mythology type of thing. I myself have not read it, but everyone talks about the hero's journey, and even when I talk about, you know, like Egoraven being about the hero's journey, it's always a reference to this book, to Joseph Campbell. You know, so let's see. So 7. Okay, this one. Okay, before we start on number 7, let's because this one might be a little rant worthy. But
oh, really?
I think so. But let's show some love first before we get into that. So
hi, I am Joe D. McPhee. I am the host of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, and I want to cordially invite you to watch our show Saturdays at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. On our show, we will have different guests, as well as talk about the comic book industry and pop culture. And every so often, I might actually do a drawing session or a 3D rendering session every here and there. So once again, I want to invite you to watch From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher right here on the broadcast channel that you're looking at, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Hope to see you there, and make certain that you catch From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at?
A Catch the Craze podcast.
What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
You are an independent. Catch the Craze! Making moves on your own. Catch the Craze! On your grind in the streets. Catch the Craze! Join the movement. Catch the Craze!
Rawr, get them.
So support these wonderful shows, which I think we also have linked in the show notes as well. So and subscribe to them as well.
Definitely, Lage, you're about to start doing our show notes.
Am I? Because I'm saying everything's in the show notes when there's nothing there.
Yeah, I'm listening. I mean, I like it when people put it to me, but golly, girl.
Right, yeah, at least, we're going to have to make, like, some kind of, like, a Word document or something.
I have one.
Oh, okay.
It's like...
Right, yeah.
All right, we're gonna
like I said, our show notes get longer and longer each time, so... So, okay, now, with number 7, I need to preface this with the context of when ElfQuest came out. So I think we had established that ElfQuest came out in 1978. Yeah, 1978.
Of course, that was a magical year.
So that there was, so the industry was a little bit different back then. Mm-hmm. So what they're considering innovative right now in the context of 1978. You're all going to hear this, and you're going to go, now those are the cliches. Okay, so this is number 7. So, number 7, do the unexpected. Okay? I mean, and even if anybody remembers the whole Game of Thrones discourse, keep that in mind. So, do the unexpected. So, they say, cliches are cliches for a reason. Stereotypes, tropes, that all such categories exist in the first place is because enough writers, artists, filmmakers, etc. have used certain storytelling devices enough for these shorthands to become definable and to some extent predictable. ElfQuest, however, has built in its 40-year mission on recognizing usual suspect motifs and, as Wendy likes to say, turning them on their ear. Traditional sword and sorcery, right up to the present day, often relies on a macho male lead who rescues damsels in distress. We asked ourselves, what if the hero is also the damsel? What if the hero is equally composed of male, Cutter, and female, Timane, spirits? This is literally the most unexpected thing we have done in ElfQuest. It happened midway through the final quest, which is being printed by Dark Horse right now. The final quest story arc, the recent 2018 conclusion to Cutter's hero's journey. But we planned it decades in advance because we knew we had to plant clues and build towards the revelation, or risk losing the audience's willingness to be blindsided. The unexpected must nevertheless pay out as an inevitability. It must feel like it couldn't have happened any other way. Okay, so you see, the thing is, though, I think that this one kind of irks me because, and again, if you go back to my own live streams on my YouTube channel, I go into an entire episode where I talk about this. Where I'm gonna spoil it because this is from. I'm gonna spoil it because it's 2018. The Maltese Falcon is fake. Vader is Luke's father. We all know this already, so it's like I don't feel like I'm really spoiling anything. So if you don't know in ElfQuest, Wendy actually kills off Cutter, which surprised me. That was the spin for me, that she actually did that. But it turned out that Cutter was a combination of like she said, two souls. That he was actually a combination of himself and Timane, the high one elf, one of the original elves. And I didn't buy it for one fucking second. You know? I mean, I pretty much followed the storyline from almost the beginning. And when they say that they had this mapped out from the beginning, they say it has to be an inevitability. I don't buy it for 1 second. because when I finally read those issues and caught up with everything, it reeked of they did something at the last minute. They made this decision at the last minute. Yep. Not killing off Cutter. That was it. That surprised me. It's like, okay, maybe I can give her that. Although even the way she killed off Cutter was kind of sus. You know, it was kind of weird. But
Daphne, are you calling out Wendy Pini of all people?
Maybe. It was upsetting. I was upset when I read those issues. It really was. You know, so, you know, but the thing is, though, the whole thing, that in the end, Cutter was not his own character, I had a really hard time buying. You know, and because it's like, it does make you look back on everything it made me look back on everything that I read, and it's like, so what was what was this all about then? You know, I mean, it was just kind of weird. It's kind of like the way Disney is kind of revamping, you know, kind of like rebooting their villains to make them more sympathetic, i.e. more marketable.
It's like, no, let them be evil.
You know? So it's like, right. But it's like, but now it's like, you know, they make these changes, and then you look back on the source material, and then it's like, it just gets weird.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like the whole thing with Cruella. It's like, oh, her mother was killed by Dalmatians or something. So by the end of the movie, you're looking back at the original 101 Dalmatians going, yeah, fuck those dogs. You know, it's like, and which is not the reaction. You know, fuck those puppies. You know, it's like, you know, make the code. Go right ahead. You know, it's like, that's not the reaction that you want. You know, so when this got revealed, I was just like, it made me question everything that I just previously read, but not in the way that she wanted me to.
No, right.
You know, so now the thing is, though, like I said, the whole thing, you know, right, you know, like the whole like macho male lead who rescues the damsel in distress. Like I said, that's no, it's like, it's the I'm gonna say it. It's the strong female character that's now cliche. You know, that's the funny thing. Like, for the past, like, especially, like, the past, like, around, like, 5, 6, 7 years, especially. Okay, I can round it to 10. Where it's like, now everybody goes out of their way to, like, avoid, I guess, the standard trope, and then they went ahead and created a new one.
Yes, the strong female character, which is a toxic male with a vagina.
Thank you. That's exactly, yes. So instead of having a toxic male, we now have a toxic female of our very own. You know, so like I said, that could be. It's like, yeah, I really need to get back to doing rant videos. I swear to God, this is too much for 1 hour. Well, for a half hour technically. I'm trying not to go over too much. So then it's like bringing up Game of Thrones, right? Then you have the issue where you have people who are, oh, hey, Glyn. No.
What up, Glyn?
Where, I don't know, the writers on Game of Thrones got super uptight about how people were so following their work that they were pretty much like trying to predict what was going to happen in the story.
That just meant we found it fucking interesting.
Right. Exactly. You know, it's like, okay, we figured out the butler did it. Who cares? You know, it's like, so we figured that out. Like, I don't understand. Like honestly, it's like when I was reading the excerpts last week, and then it's like, you know, I was watching Joe like really like speculating as to what he got out of the
right.
It's like, I don't know, I love that shit because it means you're paying attention to my work and you're trying to figure out what I'm doing with it. So I don't know why these guys were just like, oh no, if they can figure out our work, that means that we're being simple. It's like, no, it means people are interested. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, okay, the butler did it, but that still doesn't mean we want that we're not interested in seeing that the butler did it. You know, I mean, that's the thing. You watch it, you know, Death on the Nile or Murder on the Orient Express. I know the ending. I know the ending already, but it's like, that's not the point. That's not the point. You know, I want to see Hercule Poirot get all pissy on everybody. You know, gathering everybody up in the train car going, let me tell a story about all of you. You know, I mean, that's what, you know, it's the journey to that ending. You know, it's the conversation we had at one point as to whether, does knowing there's a happy ending ruin a story? You know, technically a happy ending is the cliche, right? Like for the longest time, that's how all the edgelords, it's like, oh, happy endings, that's for suckers. You know, everything's going to be all dark and edgy now. And then what happened? Dark and edgy became the cliche. Yep. It's like, oh, another dark and edgy, you know, dystopian, whatever the hell. You know, it's like, oh, ooh, you got me there. You know, so yeah, so... Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, because that's kind of how I feel it too. That it's like, yeah, and that's, yes, exactly. You know, it's like sometimes, yeah, I want to know the bad guys are going to lose and the good guys are going to win. I want to know that there's a happy ending. Right. You know, it's like, you know, I want to know that the ship that I'm rooting for gets together at the end. That's what I want to know. The band
always gets back together.
Right, the band always gets back together. You know, I mean, it's like but that's not a bad thing for the audience to want. You know, and it's not a bad thing for you to write that in. Because in the end, it's like, okay, there's the happy ending, but the fun is how they get there. How do they get to the happy ending? You know, it's like, and that's the thing. It's like, don't put in, just because something is cliche doesn't mean that it's bad. Okay? I mean, that's the thing. Cliche just means, story tropes just means that everybody knows it, understands it, knows what to expect, and, you know, and it's like, that's all that means. It's morally neutral. There is nothing to read out of that. It's what you do with it that counts.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like, I think that in the end, it's like, you can't, with Egoraven, you can't get more cliche than a fucking unicorn princess. But it's like, you know what? But what's her story? What does that mean? You know, it's like, you know, it's like this part's cliche, that part's cliche, but what does that mean in the context of the story that I'm telling? And will people find that interesting enough to follow the story regardless of what the trope is? Right. Or regardless of what tropes I enjoy? Because that's the thing too. There are tropes that I enjoy seeing. Yeah, they're tropes. I don't care. I want to see them. You know? It's like, you know, when there's this whole thing in romance novel fandom where even though you're writing a romance novel, there's a certain expectation the audience has for the work. You know, where it's like, there's like, which one of them is the happy ending. that there's going to be a happily ever after. They're reading the book expecting that ending. They're not there expecting you to circumvent, expectations. No, fuck that. They want their expectations. Yeah, the dramatic
twist. They're cliche.
Right. It's like twists for the sake of twists.
Right.
It's like, no, it's like they want to see like superhero comics. Okay, there are certain tropes and expectations people who are fans of superhero comics are expecting every time they look at a superhero comic. That's why they get all uptight about these companies messing with their tropes, messing with their expectations, because it's like they're there specifically for these expectations. They don't want any of this to be circumvented. But also that also goes into why, like these companies, they're not making art, they're making product, so they treat it like product to be altered however they feel the marketplace wants, the marketplace wants it, not like what an actual audience enjoying it as art wants it. Again, that's why independent you want particular things, independent comics have it. It's like that's where you want to look. Not the guys making gray paste that they put a rainbow flag on every June. That you don't want that. Nobody really wants that. Okay? You want what we're giving you. I mean, it's I try to be a little different with it, but different to me. It's like this is like this is what I want to see. I do my book in the flavors I want it in. It's like well, right, but the thing is though, it's like, you see, that's the funny thing, because the whole concept of virtue signaling has more to do with marketing than anything else. It's not them giving a shit about marginalized content, groups. Yeah. No, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. It's like they say, oh, these guys are screaming about something. Can we monetize that? Yes. Can we monetize them with minimal effort? That's what that is. It's not, the word virtue doesn't even belong in there. That's not even what these companies are doing. They're looking at them and going, how can we monetize this with minimal effort? And it's like, really? That's how you want to be looked at as a consumer? Technically as a consumer, that's exactly how they look at you. But, when we're talking about doing artwork, we're doing art as a creative field. And we're talking about a creative field. That's not how I want to be looked at. I want to enjoy work that you're doing because you're passionate and it shows. And it shows, and it grabs me too. Granted, there are certain things I'm not into. It's like, I'm not into superheroes. I'm into, I'm into Roman history and unicorn princesses. That's what I'm into. But that doesn't mean that I don't want people to enjoy superhero comics as well.
Right.
It's like everything, we deserve to all tell the stories we should be telling. Tropes, no tropes, all the tropes. You want to be cliche, be cliche. It's all about what you do with it. So that's number 7. I got 2 more before the hour's up. Okay, here we go. So, number 8. A good villain makes for a good hero. Looking at you, Disney. Because when you water down your villains, what does that say about your heroes? But on another rant, I think that's part of it. That it's the reducing, it's kind of like removing the concept of hero and villain from the conversation completely. It's like, it's minimizing both, where it's like, you tell people there's really no heroes and there's really no villains.
You're telling them there's no good and evil.
Right. Because what do you, and think about it. When a multi-billion-dollar media conglomerate wants you to learn that there are no heroes and no villains, what are they trying to teach you? And at this moment, I probably should be putting on a tinfoil hat. I know. It's like, but really though, think about that. It's like if they're trying to be so morally ambiguous, what is it that they're trying to teach you to do? Like, superhero characters used to be characters you could look up to, right? Right. That you could aspire to be. Yeah, they're cartoon characters, okay? That I know. But we're talking about, look, this was originally marketed to kids, okay? And, these were characters, these were behaviors to aspire to. You wanted to be Captain America, not Hitler.
Right.
That was, I mean, put it basically, that was the aspiration. Now it's like, oh, it's all the same thing. Really? That's what we want to teach people now? I mean, that
queens,
right. I mean, that's what we want to teach people. Like, I understand wanting to teach the gray area. But this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about gray area. We're talking about gray mush. That they're trying to, to mash everything into like this neutral zone.
We're all the same and we're all equal.
Right, yeah, it's like we're all,
saying everybody special is the same as saying no one.
But is right, exactly. It's like, Syndrome kind of was running with something there, So this is what they say about this. So the best villains want the same thing as does the hero. They just go about it in bad and destructive ways. Winnowill, I mean, of course, this requires you to know the ElfQuest lore, who is almost universally reviled as the villain in ElfQuest, wants the same thing as Cutter, the safety of the elfin race. However, her terms include the extermination of any elves she considers impure, i.e. the mixed blood wolf riders, the mixed blood wolf riders. Cutter, on the other hand, simply wants to unite all of the scattered elf tribes and provide them a safe haven. Also, it should be noted that a foe is different from a villain. A foe can be anyone from a rival, such as Rayek, to the loyal opposition, such as the noble archer Strongbow. A foe is often the hero's shadow in the Jungian sense. They reveal, that's Carl Jung, that's someone else you guys can look up. Again, philosophy, right? They reveal which is hidden within the hero. A foe also has the potential to become a friend. So that's why I'm really, really, really against this whole watering down of villains for the sake of marketing. It's the reason why I can't watch the Book of Boba Fett. Those first several episodes, I mean, I couldn't get through the first 10 minutes of it because it's like, Boba Fett is supposed to be a villain. And here they are trying to make him
sympathize, not make you sympathize. With
right,
him.
like some kind of a compassionate criminal.
Stop playing with my motherfucking emotions.
And it's like, it's like, well, what if we made Tony Montana a nice guy? Nobody would give a shit about Scarface. We don't know Tony Montana because he's a nice guy. We don't know Don Corleone because I got this wrong the last time. And we all ended up with a different visual in our heads. He's not a nice guy. Tony Soprano is not a nice guy. They run criminal enterprises. It's like, even if you watch Breaking Bad, only because I forgot the name of the character, he's not a nice guy. He's not meant to be a nice guy. You do not have nice guys in criminal enterprises. It's like, but somehow we're supposed to believe that Boba Fett is a nice guy running a criminal enterprise. No. Bad writers, bad executive producers. You know? No. You know? Yeah, exactly. Everyone is misunderstood.
Aww.
So you can't judge anybody. And again, what are these billion-dollar studios trying to train you to think? Remember, it's called programming for a reason, right? You know? So yeah, and let villains be villains. For God's sake, let villains be villains. You know, it's like, it's like, you know what? Not everybody can be redeemed, all right? And that's okay. Not all your characters need to have a redemption arc.
No.
You know, some characters are just bad, and that's it. That's all
evil.
That's all anybody needs to know.
Yep.
You know, it's like, I don't need an explanation as to why Skeletor has this thing for bothering He-Man all the time. I don't. I never did. Never did. I just need Skeletor to just stand there looking hot and laughing that little laugh of his. That's it. That's all I need. Did I just reveal a little bit too much? Probably. But we can go on to issue 9.
You got a thing for bones, Daphne?
What? Number 9. No idea is set in stone. The earliest ideas about ElfQuest come from Wendy and long predate its first publication in 1978. In 1977, she shared the concept with Richard, and the couple set out to make it happen. One part of the creative process involves a story conference. Wendy lays out the framework of what's going to go in a given episode, and then she and Richard drill down into the particulars. Sometimes a notion appeals to one of the team but not the other, and then discussion ensues. I guess this is if, you know, especially if you're working as a team with somebody and you're all helping to percolate the story together. I mean, I guess in this case, well, it's like, because with Egoraven, it's just me. So it's pretty much my word is law. You know, it's like what you see on the page. What you see on the page is oh, I got distracted really fast. What you see on the page is what I decided is going to go there. You know, this is, like I said, the 15 issues are done. I have that story completely written out. This is how it's going to go. You know, it's like there's no, aside from some slight tweaking, I'm still debating about doing somewhere near the end. Other than that, the story's done. Now, when it comes to Tall Tales, though, as much as JD considers himself a dictator with the story, there were certain times that we got together and goes, okay, what is this? What's going on here? You know, and it's not necessarily that things were changed as much as they were clarified. Because it's like, if I, as the artist, don't understand what's going on in the story, I can't illustrate it. So, and then there comes a point where it's like, wow, if I it would probably, the way he figures, if he has to explain it too much, he has to clarify it in the story. Like there's something that he has to tweak, you know? So in that case, it's like sometimes we do have this little back and forth as to like, well, why is this like this and why is that like that, and I don't understand like why this is happening.
That's tweaking.
You know? Right, that's tweaking, yeah. You know, but the thing is though, it's like, because, you know, that's his story. Right. You know, like I said, it's like he knows, I mean, he knows exactly, he knows how it ends. The entire story, even beyond, you know, beyond Thieves' Quest, beyond Tears of the Mother, he knows where it ends and how it ends. And he's told me that ending, so I know where it goes. It's just, he still has to set up that roadmap. But if there are parts that it's like, well, why does that happen? Why did that happen? Why is that here? You know, that you still have to have some flexibility. Okay. Oh, well. And this is where fanfic comes in. This is where everyone goes to AO3.
We're all going to Eternia tonight.
Right. So yeah, so it's like, so even, so in the end, try to, yeah, we're tweaking. We are tweaking.
We're tweaking the fuck out.
We're story tweaking. You know, so yeah, so even, so the whole, so I guess this is kind of like an addendum to know your ending, but be flexible enough that you can tweak your story where you need to. That it's like sometimes some ideas work when you're going a certain direction, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, that maybe I like it better if I took this road towards that ending rather than opposed to this road, and then you can adjust accordingly. You know, so yeah, I mean that's how. So there we go. Top of the hour. These are the 9 things that the nine rules of storytelling with ElfQuest in this poorly edited article from Forbes magazine. Because I don't know what the heck is going on with Forbes. I don't understand it. So, because I would really like to know how recent this actual interview was, and why it got edited the way it did.
Yeah,
That's a completely.
Because with that editing, dude, it's like you kind of took away from your own shit.
You know, I mean, it's. You know what? Like I said, it's on. What?
It's like, well, if you felt like that.
What? I mean, it was just kind. Like I said, it's like I'm reading it and I'm trying not to edit it. You know, it's like. But if you want to read the article for yourself, it's on Forbes.com.
We'll put the link in the show notes.
Well, if you keep mentioning it, you're going to just give yourself more work, too. So now that you're mentioning it. Just like I said, just a warning, though, the Forbes website is a hot mess. It requires you to shut off your ad blocker, and then and then it's like the entire screen covers with ads. So I don't know if that article is going to be any more helpful for you reading it off of Forbes than the way we did it here. So yeah. So that's pretty much the end of part 2 of this storytelling time, I guess. Here at the top of the hour, we had great chat discussion. You know, concerning this, if you have any more to say, you know, it's like share in the comments as to what you think about any of these 9 rules. And mind you, they're more like they're a little bit more like suggestions, than rules. You know, it's like, you know, like I said, we don't want to take these things too literally and too at face value, because your mileage will vary with that. So so if you have any more to say about it, just put it in the comments below, and you know, and maybe you'll come, you know, you'll say something that we'll talk about on the next show. We have one more for the week. We have a Friday. You know, hopefully we'll remember to go live on time. Oh, yeah. So on that note, Nita, you have any reminders or anything for everybody before we go?
Do not forget, Tuesday, March 1st, 9 p.m. Eastern. Dispatches from the box, from outside of the box, is coming to you. And we're going to be hosted by C. Michael Lanning, Stone Abdullah, and Mr. Randy Zimmerman.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes, so there we go. Yes, and to answer in the chat, yes, this show, the Ragin' to the Vlogs, every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m., because we take the weekends off, because actually we don't have a lot of time on our hands.
No.
You know, so that's why we try to keep this just about to an hour. So casual tweaking on Friday, maybe. You know, we're always tweaking.
Always.
We're always tweaking.
Daphne, where can people find you?
Where can you find? Oh yeah. So hold on, 'cause I'm getting like he's doing some new noises here I never heard before. So it's like, what the heck? Where the peoples can find me? Well, you can head on over to my main portfolio site, egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook. If you're into seeing sketches, current work in progress, whatever dumb crap I decide to put on paper. You can see that there. And you can also check out my YouTube for videos and eventually, yeah, I know. No, he really is. I think at this point he really is.
He's out today.
Yeah. You can check out all my videos on my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage art. Eventually, it's like I said, ever since I started doing the vlogs, I need to redo my entire schedule to figure out how I'm going to fit in more videos and more live streams and everything. So, and also for everybody to know, if this is your first time here, you can also read the first 5 issues of Egoraven, Heir of the First Unicorn, and its original black and white format at egoworks.com. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales, TAILS online.com, and read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free and see if how much of these 9 rules I'm following in all those pages. So on that note, I think we'll see everybody tomorrow again for one more show for the week. And I think that's pretty much it. Any last words, Nita?
Get to work. Keep your head down. Stay productive. Hit the button.
Yes, hit the button. Hit all the buttons. Hit all the buttons. Yeah, it's like we're broadcasting on a lot of channels, on our channel, on my channel. It's like,
go hit all our buttons.
Go hit all our buttons.
And then come tell us how you did.
And then we'll thank you for it. So, and for me, it's like all I can say is just do the work, because when you actually do the work, you don't have to fake your accomplishments.
Right.
And I want to end. Do you have like an official bump for the end, like an actual bump? Because I have a new just a little outro until we figure out how we're going to say goodbye to everybody. But I think that this is a little bit appropriate for everybody. So see you guys tomorrow, bright and early. Ciao.
Saying, live your motherfucking life. You got to get your motherfucking hustle. Understand niggas is going to hate you regardless. Get that out of your head, that fantasy world where niggas ain't hating on you. You got to be grateful. You need haters. What the fuck is you complaining about? What the fuck do you think a hater's job is? To fucking hate. So let them motherfuckers do their goddamn job. What the fuck is you complaining about? Ladies, if you got 14 women hating on you, you need to figure out how the fuck to get to 16 before the summer get here. The fuck is you mad about? Fellas, if you got 20 haters, you need 40 of them motherfuckers. What is you complaining about? If there's any haters in here right now that don't have nobody to hate on, feel free to hate on me. Sit back there and say my hair ain't luxurious when you know it is, bitch.
And on that note,